Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Parasyte, aka Kiseijuu, episode 18. Oh man, this episode, it was so good, so good. Oh man, this episode, well, the first part was kind of confusing because Tamiya Ryoko was just saying a bunch of stuff, but like the rest of the episode, so good. Uh, the stuff that the stuff that Tommy Ryoko talked about. Um, so she said that parasites can survive without eating humans, right? So that's good. That part was confusing, right? But the other stuff she said was stuff uh, like how the parasites are children of the human race. Okay, which at first I thought about this and I was saying, well, so is it you know how, like, I don't know if any of you are religious, but they say that God created humans in His image. Well, is she trying to say that parasites were created in the image of humans? But if so, then why is it that they're not even remotely close to being human though? Like like physically, biologically speaking, they're not even close to being human. They're parasites. They have to take over one, and it's not like they only take over humans either. Episode two or like one or two, the dog was a freaking parasite, so it's not like they only take over humans. So I mean, like that's kind of confusing. um, Maybe they were made specifically for humans. I think they said something earlier. What was it they said earlier when Tamiya Ryoko was talking with that dude, like that boardroom place, something like they were created to clean up, to kind of like get rid of all. There were so many, like there's like so much evil in humanity that they were supposed to kind of purge humanity and get rid of a bunch of the evil, um, or something like that. So maybe that's it. No, but then how would they be children of the human race? How would they be two sides of the same? See, so it's kind of confusing, right? It's hard to understand what she meant by that exactly. Um, but another thing that she said was that parasites are fragile, and she asked Shinichi not to bully them. Alright, which again, like what? but but parasites are up here and humans are here. Like what? How are they fragile? Fragile in the sense that you can't throw paint thinner into their mouths. Like, like what? Or their thinking is limited for the most part. They're too simple-minded. I mean, maybe that's it. I mean, and the other thing she said is that Goto guy that was attacking Shinichi, like half of him is not half of him, like a fifth of him is Miki, and the other fifth is Goto, and they were the two people that could take over the body. That dude. She said that she created Goto through experimentation, which would contradict the whole children of humans thing, right? So, and Shinichi pointed that out too, that it was contradictory. So there's a lot of confusing stuff here that she said. Okay, and I want to believe that it'll be explained later. I'm sure it will. Well, no, maybe not explained later, but things will happen where you'll be able to look back at what she said here and in hindsight understand what she meant. Um, that's what I would assume would happen. So I wouldn't worry too much about the things she said here, because there will definitely come a time in the next 7, 8 episodes, however many are left, where we will understand. It will be made clear to us. Okay. Now, after this is when Hirama and the cops show up. Or detectives, I would assume, because they're not wearing uniforms, they're wearing suits, so you would assume a detective. Hirama tries to... he's able to figure out that Tamiya Ryoko is in fact the parasite, because he sees the blood on the baby, and Kuramori told him, like, she's wearing a white jacket, she's got a baby, my blood is on the baby's clothes, so he's able to figure out that she's the parasite right away. However, Shinichi is just always around parasites, so it's like, it's suspicious, right? So he questions him and tries to plant, like, not plant fake memories in his head, but lie to him pretty much and act as though all these lies are true. Like he called him Ikeda instead of Izumi, you know. And the logic behind that is, if during the time that during that gap in time where he last saw Shinichi, or even like the back at like kind of school, or back when like he was interviewing his Shinichi's father or whatever, um, some point in there it's possible that Shinichi was taken over by a parasite. And the logic behind this is that Parasyte wouldn't know that Shinichi, he or she wouldn't know anything about the relationship. But to actually know, that's interesting too. Or do parasites have a gender, or do they not have a gender until they combine into, until after they invade a human? Like, is that the point where they get gender? Do they not have gender? Like, even then, or do they have gender even after they've invaded the human? Like, that's an interesting thing I never thought of before. But this parasite, whenever it took over Shinichi, it wouldn't have any memory of what happened to Shinichi prior to it invading and taking over Shinichi. So if Hirama is saying all this stuff that's just not true, then the parasite would the parasite just wouldn't know, and it would assume that what he was saying was true and try and play along with it in order to try and get themselves out of it. Okay, take Tami Ryoko for example. When she went to her home like a while ago, like episodes and episodes ago, and her mother stopped by, she didn't know that that was Tami Ryoko's mother, remember? And she just had to assume, based on the way that the woman was treating her. That's what Hirama is assuming would happen here if Shinichi was in fact a parasite. Shinichi would assume what Hirama is saying is true and therefore treat it as the truth. However, Shinichi was sitting there like, what are you talking about, dude? Did you like forget my name or something? Like, what are you talking about? And Hirama's like, okay, he knows it's a lie. He's human. He's still human. All right. So that's what was going on there. If it might not have been clear at first. I know at first when I was watching, I'm like, why is this dude calling me Ikeda for? Where'd that come from? You know, but then I realized it. Okay, but yeah. So after figuring out that Shinichi is still human, they focus their attention on Tami Ryoko, and they all start shooting her. I don't know what they thought about the baby. Like, I don't know, maybe because Shinichi yelled at them and told them, like, no, the baby's human. But did they know that beforehand? And they were just, like, did they know that beforehand? Because some of those bullets would have hit the baby had Tami Ryoko not protected it. Okay, so it looked like they were, well, not necessarily aiming for the baby, because it's possible they just have awful aim. You know, this is anime after all. You know, and the people who aren't supposed to get shot never get shot, and the people shooting at them always have awful aim. So maybe that's it. They were aiming for Tami Ryoko and ended up the bullet ended up going to the baby instead. Maybe it's like anime law that was doing this, but I don't know what their opinion was. I don't know what their opinion of the baby was, because Shinichi told them. You know, maybe they didn't hear. I don't know, but I would assume that they did hear him. But I mean, they didn't stop. Like, they kept shooting. You know, I don't know what they thought about the baby, but they kept shooting. And Tami Ryoko protected the baby and started walking towards Shinichi. And she didn't fight back. She just took the bullets, and just walked towards Shinichi. And actually, Murano was heading towards Shinichi too, because she heard all those shots, and she just assumed he was there. You know, I hear shots. I know Shinichi is somewhere around here. I know that not teacher, but that woman who was at his house is somewhere around here. Shinichi is usually in a place that's really dangerous, so I'll assume he's where all that all those gunshots are. I'll just assume, so that she just goes towards that direction, because she figures Shinichi'd be in the most dangerous place. which is funny, but true, but true, you know. So, yeah, she ends up going towards Shinichi there, and Shinichi was about to leave too, because Migi was telling him, "Listen, this woman's walking towards you. You need to go before she tries something." All right. I don't want to reveal myself in front of these police, and then they take us in and then experiment and all this nonsense. No, 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 no. Okay, we need to leave. Yeah, all right. We need to get ghosts, as some would say. Um, my parents my parents used to say that all the time. They don't say it anymore, but I would assume it's a phrase that people in a previous generation used a lot. Maybe it was on a TV show or something. I don't know, but people our age don't say it. But I like the phrase, so I'll say it. Migi wanted Shinichi to get ghost, right? To disappear, no, to leave. Just making sure. All right, but he didn't. And the reason why he didn't, he was about to, but he didn't, because Tanya ended up transforming her face so that it looked exactly like Nobuko's, because she realized that if I look like his mother, it'll at the very least slow him down, right? And it did, and that was enough to keep him there. And that's once she gets close enough, Hiram and the others, they just stop shooting, because then it's gonna, they might end up hitting Shinichi. Right, so they don't care about the baby, but they care about him. You know? But they stop shooting. All right, and this is when Tommy Riego starts speaking really human-like. She kind of just goes through her time on Earth. I guess that's a weird way to say it, but she goes through her time here, her time living inside of a human. That's a weird way. That's a weird way to say it. She goes through her time, and I'll just put it like that. She goes through her life, all right, and just starts talking about how all she ever wanted was to understand things. Like, she wanted to understand why it was she was alive. She wanted to understand what her purpose was, what the purpose of parasites in general were, why they behaved the way they did, why humans. But like, she just wanted to understand things, you know. And she found that whenever she would get the answer to one question, another one would just pop up. Okay, and it's like this endless journey. And she figured that if that journey was to end, she wouldn't really mind, because she was satisfied by one of the recent answers that she had found. And that answer specifically was that her baby is human, and it should be raised by a human, because parasites are just not the same as humans and not capable of the same thing. Um, they're children of humans, and they're two sides of the same coin, but they're not. You know, so again, confusing, but she came to the realization that her baby, a human, should be raised by other humans. Okay, and she gives the baby to Shinichi and thanks him, which caught Migi by surprise, because like, when was the last time you heard a parasite thank somebody? Never. Okay, just this once. All right, and she ends up saying that she enjoyed playing a human for the short time that she did. And then after saying that, she dies. And I'm not gonna lie, the feels were stronger than I thought they'd be. I'm not gonna lie. I think in my case specifically, they were second only to when Kana died. Because that was just like, oh man, like, why are you doing this? Like why? Like, why? You know, with at least with Tommy Ryoko, we knew that at some point, now being a parasite, at some point she was probably gonna die, probably. Okay, but with Kana, it's just like, really? Like, you just do this on purpose now. Like, you're just doing it to hurt, to make it hurt now. Like, come on, you know. And the music, oh, the music. Anyway, the point is that the feels were there. They were right there. Okay, and it actually got even better from there, because it's at that point that Shinichi starts putting all these things together. She remembers the fortune that he got, which I admittedly was wrong about, but how was I supposed to know that freaking Tommy Ryoko was going to transform her face into Nobuko to try and get Shinichi to not run away? Like, how am I supposed to know that crap? Okay, like that was like out of all the ways that that fortune could come true, that was like the least accurate to the actual fortune. Like the fortune teller told him that he had to go find the person responsible for putting a hole in his heart. And like that is like not even close to, that's like barely satisfies the fortune. Like how am I supposed like that's not even fair. Like well to be fair, they neither of them was his mother. They were both just parasites who had his mother's face. So I guess in that sense it's I guess in that sense it does satisfy the fortune, but still, like, come on, like, that's not even fair. My prediction was much better than that. Freaking, with it being Murano, gotta admit, my theory was pretty legit. It just was, alright, but whatever. Shinichi, Shinichi ends up putting all this stuff together, okay? And he connects his mother to Tami Ryoko. Now, his mother, how she treated him, her feelings towards him, and then Tami Ryoko, how she treated her baby in the end, and her feelings towards the baby, and he starts to realize like how valuable their lives were to their respective mothers. And then he remembers all the people who didn't make it, all the people who did die, and he's realizing like, all these people are dead. Oh, I could be dead. This baby could be dead. We could both be dead too. But the two of us got a second chance. And out of all the deaths that have taken place since all this parasite stuff happened, it's the lives that our mothers cared so much about that actually managed to survive through all of it, right? And he's thankful, and he for the first time in a long time he's actually happy to be alive. And it was just this beautiful sequence of just scenes and images and music. It was just beautifully done. It really was. Madhouse, man. Studio Madhouse. Some of my favorite anime have been by Studio Madhouse, and they they're just outdoing themselves. This might be my favorite Madhouse anime yet. Like they've done a lot of stuff that I absolutely love, like The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga, Platoon, No Game No Life, Black Lagoon, Death Note, The Regular Magic High School. But out of all the things they've done that I've absolutely loved, Parasyte might be my favorite out of them all. Like legit. Like I'll have to rewatch Death Note, but um, actually, to be fair, I actually read the manga for Death Note. I've only actually watched like 2 or 3 episodes of Death Note. That's bad. That's bad. What am I waiting for? I should just do it. I need to watch Death Note sooner or later. I have to. Right? But Death Note and Parasyte are definitely number 1 and 2. Whichever one is number 1, whichever one is number 2, that's up in the air right now. But those two are definitely number 1 and number 2. Madhouse is outdoing themselves with this. It's just beautifully done. Seriously, it really is beautifully done. And you see Murano show up after it all, and she says to Shinichi, you're back. Are you finally back? And he says, well, no. Well, he doesn't say that he's back, not yet, but he says his tears are back, which you know how big of a deal that was for him before. He felt like he was losing his humanity, because even when he wanted to, even when he wanted to grieve, when he wanted to mourn, he couldn't. He couldn't cry no matter how much he wanted to. And now he finally can. So it's like he's regained by watching Tanya Ryoko and her feelings towards her baby, remembering the feelings that those two mothers had towards their children. He was able to regain his humanity, which is an interesting turn of events. Human being saved by a parasite, it's such an interesting turn of events, and it's just so well done. It really was. Um, that part right there was amazing. And then after that, it wasn't as I don't want to say as good, because it was really freaking good. It's just like not at the level of that first half. Okay, the second half ended up focusing on this guy Origami. All right, and he's a serial killer who has the ability to sense parasites, like Kana did. Okay, so they bring in these 5 guys and girls. God. they they bring in these 5 guys and girls who claim to be psychics, who claim to have this ability to sense parasites as well. Okay, so this guy Uragami is trying to see if they do actually have that ability to sense parasites, and eventually, Jesus Christ, eventually he gets to Shinichi. All right, eventually it's Shinichi's turn. And, Hirama's thought process here is, this kid is always around when parasites strike. He always is. Yet he's human. But he must be attracting parasites somehow. And Hirama, he's thinking that Shinichi is the partner that Kuramori mentioned, but he's not really sure, so he's just trying to see if Uragami senses anything that's off about him. Alright, and after all the joking around and Uragami fapping to the that was hilarious. That was just hilarious, man. He's definitely a parasite. He's definitely a parasite. Oh man, that was hilarious, man. that was just funny. That was just funny. Then he falls asleep. He's like, "I'm sorry, I tired myself out." That dude's hilarious. Oh man, I think I'm gonna like this guy. He's funny. All right, but he eventually ends up getting serious because he looks at Shinichi and he senses something about him. Asks Hirama to tell Shinichi to look him in the eye, and he does, and Shinichi starts to get afraid because he knows what's coming. And you see Uragami with this look on his face, and he's like, you're just thinking he knows. He knows. He knows he's gonna say it too. He's gonna say it. And then he doesn't say it because they stopped the episode with that freaking cliffhanger. Oh my freaking god. Why do they do this? Why do they do this to us every single freaking time? And the worst part about it, you want to know, is that they always stop at the worst possible time, and then you have to hear the ending theme say, "It's the right time," and you're like, "No, it's not. It's not the right freaking time. No, don't stop." It's so freaking annoying. It's the wrong time, and then they're saying it's the right time. No, it's not the right time. It's so freaking annoying. I don't go for another 5 minutes, please. Jesus. My God. Speaking of the ending, they changed like that last part of the ending where before it would be Shinichi with his glasses walking through the hallway, and he'd face the door like you were walking in, and and he would see you and everything. That's the way it used to be, but now it's different. Now it's you in the house, and now it's Shinichi, new Shinichi, no glasses, hair back. Now it's new Shinichi who's walking in. He's back, so I thought that was a cool touch. Shinichi has finally come back, and they actually showed that in the ending. So he's come back both in the series in terms of he's human again, and Murata's happy he's back, but also in the ending animation, he's the one who's coming back, So I thought that was really cool how they did that. And overall, wow, 24 minutes, Jesus. And now I'm interested in seeing what will happen next week. I really am. Jesus Christ, why do they do this stuff? Why do they do this to us? These cliffhangers, my God. I love them for doing it because it's so good, yet I hate them for doing it because it's so good. As for this episode, I will give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was just great. Actually, it was actually great. Yeah, I mean, 9.5 out of 10, best episode since maybe Kana in episode 12, maybe. I don't even remember what rating I gave that episode. Maybe I might even be giving this one a higher rating accidentally. I don't even remember, but the point I don't really care at this point. 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. That's what I'm giving this episode, and that is that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.